right, so welcome back. This is the second part of our first round mock draft. Obviously, yesterday we talked extensively about picks 1 through 16. Didn't think we were going to talk for as long as we did, and I know no one wants to watch a 3-hour video. So
Yeah.
we decided that we were going to take two on the 17 through 32. Don't worry, it won't be as long as yesterday's video. But we got to finish round one, and then we're gonna do round two a little later. But if you watched the video yesterday, we did have a lot of different picks. We're gonna continue to have different picks, obviously. And we
Hot.
we seem to always go on the opposite side of the ball here. So at 17, got the Dallas Cowboys. You're an Eagles fan. You know Dallas all too well. Uh, Jets know Dallas too because they beat them. But anyway,
They did.
um, the Cowboys kind of started strong and fell flat on their face as the season went on. The Eagles kind of had the opposite thing last year. The 4-game win streak, I know you like that. Got into the playoffs, the Eagles. The Cowboys have a lot of free agents that they need to take care of on their own side of the ball. With Dak Prescott, they already paid Ezekiel Elliott, Amari Cooper, Byron Jones. Um, so the draft is going to be vital for the Cowboys because they need cheap players who can contribute right off the bat. And for me at 17, I have the Cowboys going with Grant Delpit, which is the safety from LSU. The Cowboys tried to trade for Jamal Adams, and it seems like safety is definitely a need that they have. If they're willing to give up a first round pick for Jamal, if not more, then why don't you just get his replacement here? LSU safety, it seems like a match made in heaven. Grant Delpit definitely is my top safety. Him McKinney, I guess, battle at this part. But I'm going to go with Grant Delpit at 17 to the Cowboys. Who do you have at 17? Is it the same side of the ball at least? I think you went with CJ Henderson, right?
Yes, I did from Florida.
Okay.
They're gonna let go of Byron Jones. They need to go younger. They need to go cheaper. I don't think they can keep Byron Jones. I mean, Grant Delpit will fit a lot, and it's gonna be cheaper too because it's the same position. Whoever they pick up gets the same salary, so it doesn't really matter. It helps that part of the defense. C.J. Henderson, I think, is the guy that they need right now. I think they could find a way to salvage something at safety where they don't have to go too high at safety.
All right. Granted, I mean they play in secondary positions right next to each other. They need both. Solid
Yes.
pick for both of us there. At 18, we had the same exact pick, which is weird because of how many different picks we had before that.
Yes.
We had Chase on the edge rusher from LSU going to the Dolphins, and your reason on interstateofgrain.com is because they're building the whole damn thing, rebuilding the whole damn thing.
Yes.
Makes sense. I mean,
The whole damn thing.
the whole damn thing. So most people think that he's going to go higher than 18, and he very well might. I mean, LSU, the product they had last year, it's insane how many first round picks they have. They need an edge rusher. They need a lot of things. The Dolphins, and I think Chase on is definitely is one of the best in this draft. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
solid addition for the Dolphins here. Anything to add on Chase on?
No, I just think that this year's LSU class has been like one of the most complete. I mean, they always have good products coming out of there, but I just think this year, especially they won a championship, that's like the most complete roster I've seen LSU have in a couple of years.
Yeah, for
That's a great
sure.
add-on for the Dolphins. They needed a edge rusher.
Yeah, I mean, you can have the whole LSU team as the first round, and it's still you would have a good product.
Yes.
Um, in 19, I blew up my draft. This is where
Uh,
I just threw a curveball completely, and it definitely could happen. The reports are that the Raiders are trying to get Tom Brady in the building for 2 years, $60 million. I say that he's going to go back to New England because, all the intrigue, whatever. I think Tom Brady ends his career with Bill Belichick in New England. As a Jets
correct.
fan, I hate that. But
Me too.
I have the Raiders going Jordan Love, quarterback out of Utah. Um,
That's a good one.
I don't necessarily think that Derek Carr is the person that's going to lead this team. I don't think that John Gruden is that enamored by Jordan Love. I mean, by Derek Carr. and he loves young quarterbacks. Gruden's quarterback room and Mike Mayock, coaching the quarterbacks up. I mean, I think that he's definitely going to go and get his quarterback now.
Yeah.
And at this point, he's the best quarterback left on the board. You know, I think this is the right pick for them. You,
Makes
on the
sense.
other hand, I think you think that Derek Carr is most likely coming back, or they're going to sign a free agent quarterback because you went with Henry Ruggs. Um, Now Henry Ruggs, solid. Alabama, he killed it last year. Him and Judy just absolutely destroyed it at Alabama. And your reasoning was, Antonio Brown didn't work out. Well, yeah, Antonio Brown didn't work out for anyone,
Anybody at
including
all?
himself. But why are you going Ruggs here for Las Vegas?
I mean, it's. I see your point with quarterback because they're gonna be like, oh wow, we're going to Las Vegas. Let's bring in a new quarterback that people are gonna be like, oh, this is a new guy. This is a fresh idea that this team has. But I think they want to have a top receiver that could be like we have somebody you can depend on. You have a lot of weapons. You have Josh Jacob. You have the tight end that escapes my name. The name.
Darren Waller.
Uh, yes, thank you, Darren Waller. Tyrell Williams. So they just need another receiver there. Like they came off kind of competitive this year, when nobody really expected much from them, to say the least. Especially with them facing teams like the Chiefs. But I could see how the Raiders, this is a copycat league. I could see how the Raiders be like, look, they got Patrick Mahomes, and we're not saying Love is Patrick Mahomes, but if he could emulate half of that, I think that's going to be successful. And we're coming to a new city. We need a franchise quarterback. Derek Carr doesn't scream franchise quarterback in the desert state. I mean,
Yeah.
there's more than one desert state, but
Yeah, I think at this point, if they don't get Brady and they add, Love, the Raiders fans are going to be mad, because
yeah,
one is proven, one has as many Super Bowls as I can count. Was it six? Yeah, six.
yeah,
Um, and the other one is an unproven guy from Utah. So who knows?
yeah.
But moving on, Jaguars, we did pretty much the same thing that we did for the Cowboys, except we swapped the positions. At
Correct.
20, I have C.J. Henderson, and you have Xavier McKinney, which means you rated McKinney higher than Delpit. You actually didn't rate Delpit high at all, and we'll get to that later. He was one of your biggest fallers. But the Jags, we said yesterday, they need a lot of pieces. Even though they're few years removed from the AFC Championship game, a lot of stuff has happened since then. For me, Henderson is going to be the replacement for Ramsey. I just see him as, obviously he was a huge piece that they lost, and they didn't play the same without him. And you need a guy that's going to be that guy. Xavier McKinney, obviously safety is a huge need for the Jags. The secondary needs to be rebuilt. I mean, they're stronger in the trenches than they are anywhere else. So I see both sides. Why Xavier McKinney to the Jags?
I think he's more of a complete safety
Mm-hmm.
that they want. Grant Delpit, I think he's very good. I know I have him ranked lower, but I just like him better overall as a safety than I do Grant Delpit. It's just a fit of it. I mean, Xavier McKinney can just fit what the Jaguars want to do and can just start off easily. Grant Delpit, I feel like he fits in certain schemes, not all of them.
Okay. So this next team is your Philadelphia Eagles at 21.
Yes.
Yes, we have the same position. I mean, we talk about it all the time. It's either going to
Yeah.
be a wide receiver or a cornerback. If it's anyone else, I think it's the wrong pick.
Correct.
Um, you have T. Higgins. I have Henry Ruggs.
Yes.
I have Ruggs ranked higher than Higgins on my board. I just think that he has the speed that the Eagles need. I mean, obviously you have Deshaun, but Deshaun couldn't stay on the field last year.
No.
And you know how I feel about Alshon Jeffrey. Think
Oh
that
yes.
he's not the right guy for the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't think he's going to be the quarterback, the quarterback's friend and the wide receiver, the leader that you guys need.
Yeah.
T. Higgins definitely showed he's made to be the leader. On Clemson he was great. Henry Ruggs at Alabama didn't have to be the number one guy. Judy
No.
was the number one guy. If he goes to Philadelphia, I'm talking about Ruggs, he'll have to be the number one guy. I don't
Yeah.
think Alshon Jeffrey is going to be there much longer. So it's going to be a change of pace for him. T. Higgins is used to being the one, so I can see both sides. The Eagles need both kinds of receivers. I mean, I would say that the Eagles need all new receivers. You
Yeah.
got Arcega Whiteside who needs to perform, and you got Ward who was a practice squad guy who came on last year. Aguilar is all but gone. Jeffrey I think is all but gone. Deshaun Jackson is a fossil, but I mean he definitely has the speed, and he can he can if he stays
Yeah.
healthy he can contribute. The Eagles' strength is their tight ends right now, and I think you got to keep those guys together because they basically serve as a wide receiver if you combine them. But yeah, T. Higgins, tall, lengthy, Ruggs, speedster. You need both. It's just a matter of when you're going to get the guys. So, what do you have to say about your Eagles on this pick?
No, just I agree exactly with what you said. I'll be happy with either one that falls to us. Um, and as you already know, my first receiver that I fell in love with was Laviska Shenault, but his injuries scare me, and they're not like to the level of like Mike Williams, the one that went to the Chargers,
Mm-hmm.
where he had that injury that almost retired him. Um, but the reason why I'm picking T Higgins is because I want to see what the Eagles do. I agree with you. I think they're tending towards the side of that they might just let go of Alshon Jeffrey or find somebody that they could trade him for picks or something along those lines. I see T Higgins being a more athletic Alshon Jeffrey, and
Okay.
without the whole drama that came out this year about him. But either way, I'll be happy with either one.
Okay. Next team is the Buffalo Bills, and we have the same position. It's definitely a position that they need to upgrade.
Yeah.
I have T. Higgins here, and you have Laviska Shenault, the man you were just talking about.
Correct.
So, T. Higgins is the big wide receiver that they need. I mean, they have John Brown, who completely overperformed last year. He went off
Oh,
last year. And then Cole Beasley, who's at the end of the day, he should be a third. I don't think he should be the second wide receiver on the team. I think if you put him as a third wide receiver, he's going to be a lot happier. He did do well last year. But I mean, Allen needs weapons. Josh Allen, he definitely has the mechanics to be a great quarterback. I don't see it
yeah.
completely. I know a lot of people are high on Josh Allen. It's not because I'm a Jets fan. I just think that
No.
he is a run first, one option type quarterback.
Yeah.
And most of the time his options are good. But yeah, if you add, T. Higgins in there, you got three wide receivers who can get the job done. Three, not so much number ones. I mean, T. Higgins can be, but you combine them, you have like a core.
Yeah.
Um, Kind of like how the Ravens did it last year. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
Hollywood Brown came on, he ended up being the number one, but you just have a group of guys that you had to perform together. And you got Laviska Shenault, who his cut move is sick. I mean, that's all I
Stick.
can say. His cut
Yes.
move is crazy. Tell me why you got Laviska here to the Bills.
I think Laviska Shenault could be the uh, Calvin Benjamin that
Mi-
they got.
Minus the cheeseburgers.
Yeah, without the cheeseburgers and gaining
Yeah.
the weight. He reminds me a little bit if he's healthy too, a little bit of a Larry Fitzgerald, but his cuts are like better than Larry Fitzgerald. And if he can maintain himself healthy, like again, like you said, Allen is a run first quarterback. If they go off of that, he'll be even more successful than what he has been the way he's playing. But that will open up so much because you have the emergence of Knox, you have the running backs that they have there. I mean, they're not like a juggernaut yet, but if you get the right pieces there and you play to his strengths, the quarterback, Allen's, you have players like that. T. Higgins is great for them. I think Chenault could be a legitimate number one. He just has to stay healthy. He could be what Calvin Benjamin should have been, and what he proved to be the first year when he was with the Carolina Panthers.
Okay. So the next team, we got the New England Patriots. And we picked the same pick. And it seems like the Patriots always have someone fall to them because they're never picking anywhere near the top of these drafts.
No,
Um, Arguably, he could end up being the best edge rusher, not named Chase Young. Um, Gross Matos from Penn State. Yeater. We're gonna
Eater,
every time I hear his name, I think of like what's that Muppet, Beaker. For some
Eater.
reason, he just pops in my head. Um, but yeah, I mean Penn State. If you look on his film, he just throws people around. The Patriots, their defense last year was insane. One of the best defenses I've seen in a long time. Their secondary is kind of set. Logan Ryan might leave, but I mean, regardless, they take people off the street and they make them starters. I think you get the pass rush going. They could go wide receiver here. Just
Yeah, that's
speaking
true.
out loud. They need people to help Tom Brady or whoever it's going to be. It's going to be Tom Brady, but I think they don't go wide receiver this early. I think they're gonna grab people in second, third, fourth, whatever round it is, and make them household names because they always do.
Yes.
They also need a tight end. This is huge. They can go tight end here, but I think it's too early
Too
again.
early. Yeah.
But yeah, edge rusher. When in doubt, go edge rusher. You had the same pick, so why do you think Gross Matos is the guy?
Because he's gross and he's Matos, you know.
That's
I don't know
true.
if that makes any sense,
Yeah.
but he's the perfect Patriot. Like the Patriots just grab a player and he becomes this all pro. You know what I mean? Like you
Mm-hmm.
hear about him. I'm not saying he can't be successful in another team. That's just the perfect name for a Patriot, especially in the first round. They always pick up these players that it's like, where do these guys come from? And it's like
Yeah.
their household names, and like you said, they could always get a receiver later on. Like they always end up getting like a sixth, seventh rounder, and they become 1,000 yard receiver.
I mean, last year obviously they went N'Keal Harry in the first, but I mean it's that's it's not the norm. I don't think
No,
they're gonna do it again. So
no,
um, at 24 we got the New Orleans Saints, and if I
yes.
wasn't a Jets fan, I'd be a Saints fan. I root for them every year in the NFC. I love Drew
Every
Brees every
year.
year. It's true. Um, Drew Brees, he's coming back. I can't have it in my heart that he's retiring. It's not happening. He's coming back. And I'm going to grab him a weapon right here. Laviska Shenault, wide receiver from Colorado with the sickest cut move in the game. He's so fast, and he makes things out of nothing. The injury concern, obviously, that's what drops him to 24. And if you have an injury concern that's only dropping you to 24, you're a pretty good wide receiver.
Correct.
Um, pair him up with Michael Thomas. I think that the Saints are going to be dangerous. They're always dangerous. I mean, you have Kamara, you have Jarrett Cook. I mean, you have all these weapons, and their defense came on last year and outperformed, except against the Vikings for some weird reason. But yeah, it was a fluke game. Um,
Year three.
yeah, 3 years in a row. But speaking of that defense, you went on the other side of the ball, which is what you normally do in these situations, and you went Patrick Queen, the linebacker. Why do you go in Patrick Queen to the Saints at 24?
Because he will be a king to the city of Louisiana as their queen. Sorry, I'm a dad. Dad joke. He's just rising up. You know it. I know it. He's just the linebacker that's rising up, and they need linebackers. I mean, Manti Te'o, he disappeared like his girlfriend, and like he didn't prove much. I mean, they want to build on that defense. I remember last year, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, we were watching the draft, and I think the Saints traded up for a player, and we're like, what? What are they doing? Or
Mm-hmm.
they did something along the lines that they grabbed a player and ended up working for them.
Yeah.
I think they stick with it. I think they stick with what they know, what they need, and this class is deep. And Laviska Shenault will be perfect for them to pair with Michael Thomas. But in the sense of them getting a linebacker, I think they should go Patrick Queen, just fortify that defense, and then just
Yeah.
not put so much on the offense to win you out the games when your defense could win it for you on and help the offense out a little bit.
Exactly. I mean, trading up for Davenport, that's
Yes,
that
that
was
one.
surprising, but I mean, the Saints and the Patriots always seem to do stuff that works out.
Yeah.
Um, 25, I have the Minnesota Vikings getting Trayvon Diggs. And the reason why I have that cornerback out of Alabama, in case anyone doesn't know, um, how cool would it be to pair him up with Stephon Diggs and then trade Stephon Diggs? I'm crazy in the head. But
Nepotism is alive in the NFL.
yeah, if Stephon Diggs gets traded, which it could happen, I don't think the pick here is going to be Trayvon Diggs because I think Stephon Diggs is going to get in the coach's head and GM's head and be like, it's time to bring in my counterpoint. Um, But right now, I just the name alone is what's bringing me to the table. I think that they're gonna have to gut this team because their salary is at an all time low. I think Trey Waynes is out the door. So for
Yes.
me, Trevon Diggs is going to replace Trey Waynes. Even if Stephon Diggs gets traded, I think, Trevon is probably going to still end up here, or at least a cornerback. You can't
Yeah.
get rid of Trey Waynes and then expect, not to replace him this high. I think you need to. Um, for you, you have the same exact pick? No, you don't.
No.
You have the same side of the ball.
Same side.
Um, you have someone that I have in the second round, so you got to explain this one to me. But why do you have Neville Gallimore at 25?
He's rising up, and he's going to be solid, and that's what the Vikings need. Um, they need cornerbacks because Trey Waynes is leaving. They might have more secondary leaving, um, and they need to fortify the defense. But their thing is offensive line and defensive line. For the defensive line to get the pressure that they get and make those DBs uh, get interceptions, pick sixes, defend well against the run or defend against the pass, you need anchor. Neville Gallimore will be that guy, and they need to get younger. That defensive line is almost becoming fossil-like. You have a lot of age there on the defensive line, and that's gonna get them into trouble because these offensive lines are getting a little bit younger, and a little bit smarter, and you're gonna run right through that defensive line of the Vikings, and that's gonna be their weak point next year if they don't shore up the defensive line.
True. So, 26, we got the Miami Dolphins. For me, this pick, or one of the picks in the first round containing this man's name, is almost in marker. And as a Georgia fan, which I said on the first video, DeAndre Swift is definitely, without a doubt, the number one running back in this
Yes.
draft class. Wow. If he ends up being trash, go back to this video. But yeah, I mean, he running backs from Georgia. It's you win. You draft a running back from Georgia, they're gonna go off. Look at Nick Chubb. Even Sony Michel towards the end of the year last year did well in the playoffs. He's always great, but I mean, Todd Gurley.
Yep.
Running back you is what Georgia is, and I really like DeAndre Swift. I like the way he plays. He's shifty. He's swifty, and the Dolphins don't have a running back right now. They have Patrick Laird. I mean, like, come on, who's that
Who
guy?
for what?
Yeah, so getting rid of Kenyon Drake, I understand why they did. Looking at how the Cardinals performed with him, I'm sure they're mad at themselves, but they didn't have the team to block for Kenyon Drake. They're just rebuilding completely. They blew the whole thing up, and they're doing it the right way, I think. So you add a young running back in DeAndre Swift, he is going to be great. I think if he goes to the Dolphins, he's a candidate for Rookie of the Year.
Oh yeah.
He's going to be involved heavily with that team, and I think any team's going to be happy to have him. But he'll be a starter right out the gate if he goes to Miami. So you have for the Miami Dolphins someone who's going to block for running back. You have
Yes.
offensive tackle Josh Jones. So obviously, the reason why you have anyone to the Dolphins is because they need every position. But why Josh Jones here?
Josh Jones is just to protect whoever they're going to have at quarterback, be it Fitzpatrick, be it Tua. If they bring somebody else, I could see the Miami Dolphins getting Swift because they need to have a young back. But I could still see them go get Todd Gurley. I could see them go get David Johnson. You know what I mean? Like those running back, yeah, they had their injuries and whatnot. They just need a change of scenery. They need to go to a place where they could be the guy again. And Miami's like the perfect place to be it. But Josh Jones is the right guy. He could be an anchor for them if need be. He could be switched over from guard to tackle in a pinch. The weather is beautiful over there, from what I gather, and like
Hmm.
I think he's good enough for them to be there for a good 10 years
Yeah.
without any issues. It's a safe pick.
So spoiler alert, he's not in my
So,
first round, but he is in my second round.
dum,
So
dum.
not that
Oh,
far off. But all right, 27 Seahawks. It's really hard to draft for the Seahawks. They are the biggest reachers I've ever seen in drafts. They
and it works.
pick well, sometimes they'll pick people in drafts, and you'll be like, "Who, what?" Last year, obviously, their pick did not work.
No.
I think what he got like 10% of the snaps. Anyway, um, if they draft who I think they're going to draft, he's going to play a lot. And I
Yeah.
have them going Xavier McKinney, safety out of Alabama. They need to become the Legion of Doom again. Last year, I didn't expect the Seahawks to do as well as they did. I like the way that they built their team. I
Yeah.
think they gutted the right players. They added players they needed. They kind of became more of a team and less than just certain players. Um, Obviously, that team is centered around Russell Wilson. He got the job done. He competed there with um, Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. He was in the MVP talk the entire year. Um, Running backs just getting destroyed at the end of the year is what derailed the Seahawks. It's hard for them to come back with no weapons. Their tight ends went down. I mean, Will Disley, see what he did, and you
Yeah.
know, uh, you know, Will Disley is going to be top 10 next year. Same with what's his name, Tyler Higbee. He's going to be another top 10 wide receiver next year for the Rams. It's just a matter of having people come together, and they all did for the Seahawks. But Xavier McKinney, Legion of Boom, new member. But for you, you don't have him at all. You went on the other side of the ball
Yes.
again. You have my, I don't know, probably second favorite person in the entire draft going to the Seahawks here with Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson, the reason why I have him falling out of the first round is because I want my team to draft him in the second.
Makes
So,
sense. Makes
yeah,
perfect sense.
and he doesn't get there. In none of my mock drafts that I make, he never reaches the Jets' second pick. So, he can go in the first. It's fine. But yeah, having him, paired up in that group of guys with Tyler Lockett, who, for me, Tyler Lockett's the most undervalued player in the entire NFL. He can make something out of nothing every single play. DK Metcalf, and then you have Justin Jefferson. That is a crazy trio.
Yeah.
That's up there. That could be maybe the best trio in the NFL.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Justin Jefferson. I think he could eventually replace Lockett if Lockett ever was to leave or be traded or something along those lines. I don't think it would be this year, but I think Justin Jefferson would be that complementary that he could play outside, he could play slot, but he could be using the slot at least for this year, and then just see what happens. And it just they know Seattle knows that Russell Wilson is still quick and lethal with his feet, but they're like, you know what? Let's conserve him because we need him for the next couple years to try to get another championship. Let's make it easier for him so we can get another title.
yeah. So, 28 is a team that most people thought were winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Most people not named Rich. Um, the Ravens. The Ravens are at 28. They're allergic to the playoffs, it seems. Lamar Jackson, crazy
Seems.
year, MVP year, and then it just kind of all fell apart. And the
Unless the
Titans,
Titans less.
well, I mean, the Titans, they're a sneaky team, sneaky team. Even though they're picking at 29 and not 32,
Correct.
but the Ravens, you got to just look at what they don't need. They don't need coaching. They don't need quarterback. They don't need running back. A lot of people have them getting mocked running backs here. I just don't understand it. They do have a core of running backs. Um, I like Ingram. I don't know why people don't like Ingram.
Yeah.
I like Gus Edwards too. So they do need wide receiver, I believe, because their core is just outside of Hollywood. It's just a bunch of random guys. They don't need tight end. So for me, they eliminated most of the positions on offense, which is why I went defense. I went Kenneth Murray, linebacker out of Oklahoma. They need someone that's going to get to the ball carrier. Need someone who's going to get to the quarterback. Need turnovers for Lamar to score within 2 minutes and run up the score. So for me, I focus on defense with the Ravens, and you did the same thing. You went Terrell Lewis, edge rusher. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about Terrell Lewis and why you think he could be the next Ray Lewis, maybe for the Ravens.
Well, because I think he's the offspring of Terrell Suggs and Ray Lewis. If they had a child,
They did actually, yeah,
Terrell Lewis is the name.
yeah.
Edge rusher. I think he could play linebacker. He could play edge, especially edge. I just think he's a beast of a man, and I think he's what they need just to get over the top. Like you said, they have the coaching. It's just the players need to get over the hump. And I agree with you in the sense they don't need a running back. Mark Ingram is good enough for them. He got hurt at the end there, and that could have helped them propel them to get a little bit further in the playoffs, but due to injuries and whatnot. But I like Terrell Lewis. I think he's the guy that they need, and they always stick to it. They always get these edge rushers, linebackers, and they just seem to work. But Murray could work for them as well too. He could be their next Ray Lewis.
All right. Well, I don't think anyone's gonna be Ray Lewis, but if he's,
Well,
50%,
yeah,
it's a solid first round pick. So
correct.
at 29, we both drafted players for the Titans who I don't think will end up in the first round. But at this point, I just had to give them the next best edge rusher, just because I think that's what they're lacking right now.
Yeah,
If Jack Conklin leaves in free agency, which it
he
seems
goes to the
likely,
Jets.
yeah, I hope. I would give them an offensive tackle here. I can throw a guard in there if they want that too. But as of right now, Marlon Davidson, edge rusher from Auburn, is my pick at 29. I don't think he's gonna end up in the first round, like I said. But it's an intriguing name. I looked at his tape. He is quicker than fast. I don't want to use a Mike Mayock term. He definitely gets to the ball carrier quick. And he's someone who played well at Auburn, and he's someone that the Titans could coach up with Mike Grable. So, I'm going to get them a young edge rusher here. For you, the Titans went with someone who I don't have anywhere near the first round. But again, people rise and fall every day. You got Ross Blacklock. Tell me about why you have Ross Blacklock, defensive lineman, here.
I really don't have no reason why. 'Cause
Mm.
I've never seen his video. I just chose him because that's just like the weirdest name to have. And the Titans always have these players with these names. It's like, huh?
Yeah.
Conklin and whatever the case may be is, and it just works for them. Like they just pick up these players and they just end up working for them. I don't know if it's the scheme or the dedication that they do to play with these people, and he just sounds like a Titan. Ross
Yeah.
Blakelock from the Titans. That's the
Yeah.
only reason why. I really haven't seen anything on him.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, I think within a month from now, when we're
Yeah.
doing mock 2.0 or 3.0 by that time, which we're probably going to include, other writers from Interstate of Green just to make this like a round table thing. I think it's going to be more clear of what the top 32 are going to be in our mind. But as of right now, you got to just take chances, risers and fallers. And I think that's what we did with the Titans right there, honestly.
Yes.
At 30, I did kind of the same thing, but I have someone who has a ton of potential who had a really bad year. That's Jalen Rieger, the wide receiver from TCU.
Good one.
He was a solid horned frog, and he even said it himself on Twitter. He's like, one bad year, and you have me falling out of the first round. I guess he's looking at mock drafts. So if he's watching this, got you in the first. Packers need wide receivers. They have a group of guys that they'll go off one week and then they'll just not catch a ball the next week. They got Adams, who is a clear cut top 5 wide receiver in this league. Devontae Adams is solid.
Yes.
They could very well go tight end right here. I think Jimmy Graham is all but out the door. He should be. He didn't do anything for them last year. And then you got just a grouping of guys. You got Lazard. You got I just had Valdez Scantling.
Almost plays.
Yes. So it's a random compilation of guys. I think they need a clear cut number 2. It could be Lazard. I think he's the one who would win that battle right now. But Jalen Reagor for me is gonna step in day one and play opposite of Devontae Adams. And you didn't go Jalen Rieger because we don't go the same picks, and you went on the opposite side of the ball, which is what you always do. So Kenneth Murray, you think that Blake Martinez is out, and so this is the perfect replacement.
The reason why I think he's out is because I think the Packers will keep Martinez, but I think Martinez is going to be asking for too much money, and the Packers are going to be like, no deal. So they're going to be like, you know what? We can get a linebacker somewhere else or pick up somebody in free agency and shuffle it that way. We had a good year defensively for the most part. I do agree with that with Jalen Rieger as a number 2 to Devontae. That's a very good pick. And like you said, he had a down year, so he could be like, you know what? And then if you said like he's watching all these mocks and they're not picking him in the first round, he may use that as jet fuel to have a great year. But I think they stick with linebacker, and they'll be like, wow, Kenneth Murray fell to us. Why not? They're going to run up to the podium and call that in, and he's going to be their top linebacker for the next 10 years easily.
Yeah, if he
Just got to
falls this
stay
far,
healthy. Gotta stay healthy. Yeah.
yeah, if he falls this far, it's a slam dunk. So, 31, 49ers, same position, different player. It's just a matter of
Yes.
preference at this point. Your guy's in my second round. Spoiler alert, he goes to your rivals, the Cowboys. So, hopefully,
Damn it.
yeah. I have AJ Terrell here.
Good one.
Cornerback from Clemson. I feel like, he plays against the best of the best. And Richard Sherman got burnt like toast in that Super Bowl. Showed his age. I think Richard Sherman's still a great player, but you need insurance in case that happens again. Obviously, the 49ers are built around their defense. They really need to start building around their offense outside of the running game. Jimmy G needs to start throwing the ball a little more to build his confidence. It didn't happen this year. They made it to the Super Bowl. If he starts throwing and they can become two-dimensional instead of one-dimensional, maybe they'll get over that hump. But you got to keep building that defense. Defense is what the 49ers is all about.
Yes.
You went Damon Arnett because you literally said Richard Sherman can't last forever in red and gold. So same exact reasoning.
Yes.
Why did you go Arnett over the other group of corners?
Damon Arnett is what I think fits for what they want to do in San Francisco. I think he can become the Richard Sherman that they need. And if they keep Richard Sherman, if for some reason they use him as a hybrid type of cornerback, a slot cornerback, or even a safety, if he can play that position, then you keep him because he can. Damon Arnett is known to be a person that he's going to learn and grow from it and become a better player as time goes on. You know what I mean? And it's not a wrong pick either with AJ Terrell because I would love him to fall to the Eagles because we also need cornerback. But I mean, as we have to kind of like let our biases aside in a way, I think Arnett is the guy that long term is going to be the best fit for them. In the short term, it might take them some time to just acclimate.
Yeah.
But it all depends, like you said. Terrell is right there. He can come in and start. They might just stick with that better if they want him to start.
Just a matter of preference. I mean,
Right.
cornerback is definitely. I think that's the one. Richard Sherman. If he can go to safety, that would be awesome. Old cornerbacks, they're called safeties. It's just more freedom. If you get burnt, you have protection over the top. 32 and our final pick for round 1 in this mock draft is the Super Bowl winning Kansas City Chiefs.
It's about time, Andy Reid.
It's about time. The drought is over. That's the team I wanted from the beginning. I know since the Saints got eliminated, but they deserve it. Crazy year. I'm going to start with your pick because I'm going to play a little devil's advocate on this one.
Okay.
You have DeAndre Swift going, the running back from the Chiefs. All right. I think that the way Damian Williams played in the Super Bowl, he bought himself another year as a starter. And the reason why I don't think it's going to be running back here is because, they drafted Darwin Thompson last year. I can understand why you want another rookie in the mix, but I think if I'm the Chiefs, I add a veteran running back there. I think LaShawn McCoy's all but gone. He's probably going to end up back with the Eagles and just have like a farewell parade with them, like Deshaun's doing. But you add a lower end guy, and I think that's the perfect trio for them. They don't have to do a lot. I mean, that's a passing offense with Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Robinson. I can keep going. Watkins. Cole Hardman. It's crazy how many options they really have on that offense. On the flip side, I have the other side of the ball. I have Patrick Queen. And the reason
She's your queen to be.
True. So the reason why I have Queen, Terrell sucks. I don't think he's gonna last forever. They need a focal point to that defense, and then he's just gonna slide in. And again, LSU playing against the best competition there is. He's going to be a starter day one if they want him to be, and I think he will be. So let's talk about why you wanted Swift, because mine
Well,
wasn't as exciting.
well, because he's Swift. That's all you need to know. No, seriously though, I just think that the Chiefs. That I'm not saying that they're gonna get tired of Hardman. They're gonna get tired of Hill, Kittle. They're all talented. They're just more weapons at their disposal. They're just gonna become more creative, and that's what Patrick Mahomes needs because they need to take advantage of his youth. They need to take advantage of his quickness, the way he throws the ball, because once he starts hitting 25, 26, 27 years old, he's going to start slowing down, and then they might become more pass heavy, run heavy, and they need that running back to come in. And I think they need to get Andre Swift to be the number one, even though he doesn't have to play the number one if Damon Williams is going to be that guy for the year.
Did you just give
He
him a
can easily
nickname?
just transition. Huh?
You just gave him a nickname? He's Andre Smith? No D for him?
DeAndre Swift.
All right. So obviously, we had a lot of different picks, which is exciting. If we had the same picks, this would be boring. Ooh, I think that's a good idea. That would be boring. I'm
Yes.
glad that we have different picks. We have a lot of different picks for round two, which is going to be our next video. I think you guys need to digest round one because we almost have an hour and 40 minutes or an hour and 30 minutes. So watch round one, and we'll come back with round two. Because we have round two done. It's based off of the round one pick, so you're not going to see any repeats. And then we'll come back with 2.0 a little later on after the combine. We might add a couple more people from interstateofgreen.com. But, let us know what you think about the video. But yeah, anything else to add before we end this video today?
Well, if you haven't already joined or follow us at Interstate of Green on YouTube. Thumbs up, subscribe,
Yeah.
and watch our mocks because ours are the best.
And Twitter as well, at Interstate
Twitter.
Green. I'm at Coda522, and you are at
CYTA 2013.
Perfect. So we'll
That's
see
what
you.
it means, but
I have no idea what it means. All
I
right,
know.
so until next time.
All right.
Later.
See you.